Okay, think about the last video you streamed, the last photo you shared, or even the last document you downloaded. None of that would be possible without one single brilliant idea. That idea? It's file compression. And really, it's the invisible engine that makes our entire digital world go round. So let's pull back the curtain.
Oh yeah, we've all been there, right? You're all set to send something important and then, bam, you hit this digital brick wall. And it's more than just annoying. It's a real fundamental problem of the digital age. Our files, they're just too big.
And this exact problem, this is what we're calling the digital squeeze. Our photos, our videos, all our documents, they're often just way too big to handle efficiently. They eat up storage space, and they are so slow to send. And that's where our solution comes into play.
So at its heart, file compression is just the process of making files smaller. And a really great way to think about it is like this. Imagine trying to neatly fold a giant bulky package so you can fit it into a tiny little envelope to mail it. That is exactly what compression does for our digital data.
But as it turns out, there isn't just one way to shrink a file. Nope, there are two totally different approaches to solving this problem, and each one comes with its own really important trade-offs.
And here they are, Lossy and Lossless compression. The names actually give you a pretty big clue. With Lossy, some of the original data is permanently lost to save space. With Lossless, every single bit of the original data is kept perfectly. Let's break down what that really means.
All right, first up is the Lossy approach. You can kind of think of this as the smaller is better philosophy, where the number one priority is to get that file size as small as humanly or, I guess, algorithmically possible.
So how does it do it? Well, it very cleverly identifies and just throws away data that our eyes and ears are less likely to notice anyway. Now, this is a permanent decision. Once that data is gone, you can't get it back. But wow, the results can be absolutely staggering.
And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. Just look at these numbers. We start with a 563 kilobyte image. A standard compression absolutely crushes it down to just 31 kilobytes. But if you're willing to really push it, you can get that file down to a tiny 2 kilobytes. That is a 99% reduction in size. It's just astonishing.
But of course, there's a catch. When you throw away that much data, you're gonna start to see the compromises. These are known as digital artifacts, which are basically just visible mistakes. Think of that blockiness or blurriness you sometimes see in a low-quality video online. That's what this is.
The thing is, you interact with lossy compression every single day. The photos you take on your phone, they're usually JPEGs. The music you stream, probably in MP3 format. And the videos you watch online are almost certainly using a format like MP4. It is the engine of modern media.
Okay, so now let's flip over and look at the other side of the coin, lossless compression. If Lossy's motto is smaller is better, then Lossless's motto is definitely perfection is everything. This is the approach you have to use when losing even a single bit of data is just not an option.
So the magic of Lossless is that while it finds these clever ways to pack the data more efficiently to reduce the file size, it doesn't actually throw anything away. And that means you can always uncompress the file and get back a perfect, bit-for-bit identical copy of the original. Zero quality is ever lost.
So where is this absolutely essential? Well, think about it. You would not want a single letter to go missing from a document, right? Or for one character to be wrong in a line of computer code. It would break the entire program. That's why things like text, code, and archive files like zips have to rely on lossless compression.
So what's the trade-off for all this perfection? Well, as you might guess, the file size reduction isn't nearly as dramatic as it is with lossy methods. You save some space, for sure, but not nearly as much. You're basically trading that extreme size saving for guaranteed quality. Which brings us to the core of this whole topic. You see, choosing a compression method isn't about one being better than the other. It's really about understanding the ultimate trade-off that you have to make for any given situation. And this just lays out that choice perfectly. For file size, Lossy gives you that huge, significant reduction while Lossless is much smaller. For quality, Lossy loses some information, but with Lossless, the data is exactly the same. And this is why we use Lossy for media like photos and videos, where a tiny bit of quality loss is okay, and we use Lossless for things like text and code, where it absolutely is not.
So, the crucial point is this. File compression is a constant balancing act. Every single time you save, send, or store a file, a choice is being made, either by you or by an app, between two competing priorities: file size and file quality.
And that leaves us with a final thought.
The next time you're saving a photo and you see that little quality slider, or you're zipping up a folder to email, now you'll know exactly what's happening under the hood. You're the one in control of that trade-off. So what's more important to you in that moment? Perfect, pristine quality, or more free space? The answer to that question pretty much powers the entire digital world.